As to count one, the verdict reads, we, the jury, find the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as charged in count one of the information.
Let's talk about 3 other serial killers that have some similarities to Maxwell Anderson. We have Samuel Little, and we have Gary Ridgway, and then we have John Wayne Gacy. First of all, we're going to talk about the case of Maxwell Anderson and why I believe he might be a serial killer. And I know a lot of people are thinking the same thing, that he might be a serial killer. I would like to congratulate the family on their victory on yesterday, because I believe, just like a lot of people of color believe, that he was going to be let go, okay? And so I was shocked when they did convict him.
I remember Sade is forever, she will be forever remembered as an angel, a light worker who's touched so many souls, so many lives in the Milwaukee community. She is our hero. She is forever leaving an imprint. She walks in her own path, her own light. She solved her own case. My baby solved her own case. That's how I raised my kids. We don't give up. We are fighters. I demanded justice. I stand tall. I stand affirmative. Sade will continue to walk with me daily and right beside me.
As to count one, the verdict reads, we, the jury, find the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as charged in count one of the information. As to count two, we, the jury, find the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, guilty of mutilating a corpse as charged in count two of the information. As to count three, we, the jury, find the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, guilty of arson of property other than a building as charged in count three of the information. As to count four, we, the jury, find the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, guilty of hiding a corpse as charged in count four of the information.
First of all, we're going to talk about the case of Maxwell Anderson and why I believe he might be a serial killer. And I know a lot of people are thinking the same thing, that he might be a serial killer. I would like to congratulate the family on their victory on yesterday, because I believe, just like a lot of people of color believe, that he was going to be let go, okay? And so I was shocked when they did convict him of killing her, dismembering her body. It's horrible, and she was only 19 years old. So let's talk about a serial killer and what a serial killer is, okay? A serial killer is normally a person who kills 3 or more people over a period of time. Sometimes they will take a break, and these breaks are called cooling off periods, and they will take a break in between these murders. During this break, the killer will often act normal. They'll go to work, they go to school, spend time with their family and friends, and then later on they start planning for their next victim. That's the whole sad thing about this serial killer thing. They often will leave behind a signature, these serial killers, unnecessary actions that satisfy their personal fantasies, like taking a trophy or arranging a scene in a certain way. This is what serial killers do. And so when we talk about taking a trophy, to this day, if you've read any of the articles, if you've seen any of the videos, to this day they have not found her skull. They have not found her head. And this is another reason why I am thinking that he might be a serial killer. So Maxwell Anderson fits some of these patterns. He killed Sade Robinson on their first date, and then he cut her body up and hid the pieces in different parts of Milwaukee. That shows that, you know, he planned to break apart and scatter the body. Police also found blood in his house that didn't match Sade's DNA, which could mean that there are other victims. Okay, his basement was lined with plastic sheeting, and he had a cleaning sink and several saws, tools that can help him repeat this violent act once again. Before killing Sade Anderson, already he had convictions for domestic abuse and disorderly conduct, showing that he has a history of being violent, okay, and violent towards women. They really don't say too much about his mother and his relationship with his mother. I'm going to have to definitely research that. After the murder, he even burned Sade's car to destroy evidence. Finally, he picked up a random victim that he barely knew, which is something some serial killers do, and they, hunt strangers for no clear reason, and Sade was a stranger to him. It's just so sad that guys, we all been 19. We've all done some crazy stuff that when we look back on it, we're like, damn, I shouldn't have done that. I don't know why she went back to his house. That is the craziest thing. But I think he really was making her feel comfortable. They were out in public. They were even out at a job that he used to work at, or he was still working there. And so he kind of built trust. But to me, that was like a form of arrogance that, hey, even if I do kill you, even if we do have all of these witnesses of me being seen with you last, I'm going to get off. Okay, that is probably what he was thinking, and that's what I was thinking too up until yesterday. Okay, so I know he was very surprised when he didn't get off. Psychologists say that serial killers often, they don't feel empathy. They lie very easily. They enjoy the power of hunting other people. Okay, so sometimes as children, these serial killers, they might have experienced something scary in their lives, or something very upsetting in their lives, or a sad situation when they were children. Okay, that's another reason why they come out to be the way that they are. Anderson had planned this entire crime. He planned on hiding the evidence, and he showed signs that he could possibly hurt other people, and experts worry that he fit the profile of a serial offender rather than a person who had just did this one time. So they were very concerned about that. Maxwell Anderson's family has kept a very low profile, and the only public statement has come from his father. And his father said that his father's name is Stephen Anderson. He said he issued a statement through the family's attorney on April the 18th, 2024, saying, on behalf of my son and my family, I would like to express our deepest sympathy and heartfelt condolences to the family and loved ones of Sade Robinson, and asking for privacy as they process this situation. That statement alone says that his father knew that he was capable of doing something like that, and that his father knew without a shadow of a doubt that he killed Sade Robinson. Okay, he knew it. And so I'm not really sure, like I said before, the relationship that he had with his mother. But his mother, I don't know if she's still alive or not, has yet to come forward and say anything about this whole situation, nor is there any mention that he has any siblings. But evidently this guy is sick, and this guy, in my opinion, is definitely a serial killer. So we already know that Maxwell Anderson, he has killed at least one person that we know of thus far. Sadly, it was Sade Robinson. And he met Sade Robinson on their first date. And then he killed her. He cut her up into pieces, and then he hid her in different parks. He even burned her car afterwards. Police found blood in his house that did not match Sade Robinson's DNA, and his basement was set up for violence. He had plastic all over the place. He had saws. He had all kind of tools, and then he had a sink. So far there is no proof that he has killed anybody else. However, there was some DNA in that basement, and I believe that's going to come to light. Let's talk about 3 other serial killers that have some similarities to Maxwell Anderson. We have Samuel Little, and we have Gary Ridgway, and then we have John Wayne Gacy. So Samuel Little is the most deadliest serial killer in the United States history. He strangled women between 1970 to 2005. Little himself confessed to over 93 murders, and the FBI has verified at least 50 of those cases thus far. So it's my belief that Mr. Anderson has killed more than one person. I'm believing that. And he was probably on his way to being a Samuel Little. Now let's talk about Gary Ridgway. Gary Ridgway was the Green River Killer. He targeted women. Many were sex workers in Washington State from 1982 to 1998. He pled guilty to 48 counts of murder in 2003 and was convicted of killing 49 women in total. And once again, these two gentlemen, I wouldn't call them gentlemen, I use that term very loosely. Samuel Little, killing women all day long. And then we have Gary Ridgway killing women all day long. And then we have John Wayne Gacy. Okay, John Wayne Gacy was known as the Killer Clown. He killed over 33 young men and boys in Illinois from 1972 to 1978. He lured them to his home, tortured them, and then buried them in many places under his crawl space. And this is how he eventually got caught. So comparing these killers, Maxwell Anderson, even though thus to this date we only know of one single murder, that's a much smaller scale that we know of. We're looking at Little and Ridgway and Gacy. Each had killed dozens of people over many years and had no clear patterns in how they chose and treated their victims. Maxwell's crime shows some signs of planning and hiding evidence like some type of organized killer, but there's no proof that he had a long history of killing anybody else except for Sade Robinson. But I believe later on down the pike it is going to come out that he has killed somebody else. It's just a matter of time. And I was just so shocked at the shocked look that he had on his face that he was going to be convicted. And I am so glad, like I said, I'm so glad that the family did get justice for their daughter, especially their mother. I mean, her mother was looking very weak, I'm sure her mother and father were very drained. This whole thing is crazy, but I am so glad that they did get justice.
On the long winding steps of justice, a guilty verdict on all counts in the killing and dismemberment of 19-year-old Sade Carlina Robinson.
Karma's a and I will continue to fight.
For Robinson's mother, Sheena Scarborough, the verdict is an extension of her shining light to a path forward.
She solved her own case. She will be forever remembered as an angel.
After a 2-week trial, a jury convicted 34-year-old Maxwell Anderson in Robinson's gruesome murder. Anderson killed Robinson after a first date, dismembered her body, then dumped her body parts around Milwaukee and in Lake Michigan before setting her car on fire on April 2nd, 2024.
I don't feel relief because I don't know what he did with the rest of my daughter.
The days in court taking a toll on her father, Carlos Robinson.
I dreamt about him every night. Every night. His face was in my dreams every night.
Her mother had this outburst towards Anderson after pictures of Robinson's tortured body were shown in court.
He is a devil, but like something like going through this in court, like what you expect? She the mother, we have to hear that.
On the day of this verdict, Robinson's head still hasn't been found.
How does it feel to have the verdict but still not to have her crown? I know that's something we've talked about.
It's the most agonizing, painful thing, Bria. Like this, I just don't see how a demonic type energy can have no remorse and sit there.
They hate you. You're gonna die. I don't want to do this.